How does it feel to have such a massive dong? Bam, 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 bam. That was a long way to go for a subpar joke. A question I'm asked often, though. How does it feel, Ewan, to have such a gigantic penis? It must be, well, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. And I say it's sort of equal parts amazing and fantastic. There's no downsides. It's just brilliant having such an impressively gargantuan penis. And look, there's a quick drawing of Flesh Bob hugging a big tit. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? We like tits. Flesh Bob likes tits too. Fuck the nose up a little bit. But hey! Look, I meant to do this before anyway. That was another one of those. I had that. I was singing that song in my head for the last couple of days, obviously, as I am wont to do. How does it feel to have such a massive penis? And then so I look up the song, and of course, like a know-nothing chump, I look up How Does It Feel, because I don't know what the song's called. That's not what the song's called. And then, so I find out the song's actually called Blue Monday by New Order, of course. Who doesn't know that? Fucking amateurs. I figure, I'll use that for the podcast. Cool. And then I put the song on. And apparently, it's got the longest fucking intro to any fucking song I've ever heard in my life. I mean, maybe not literally, but it's like a 2-minute intro. In terms of like songs, 2 minutes. That's a lot of fucking real estate within a song. 2 minutes. It's a fucking age of song singing. That's so long. It may as well be a long time. So that, which leads me into today's topic: tits and the hugging thereof. Haha. No, not really. Well, it could be. Today I'm drawing a crab. Somewhat. But today's episode, because last episode. I mean, last episode is what it is. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it. You'll get it. So today's episode may seem boastful and egotistical. I might come across as a twat, a self-righteous, egotistical twat, which is absolutely the furthest thing from what I actually want in my life and what I try to do. I put a great deal of effort into at least appearing humble and whatnot. I live a very modest, humble life, I feel, and that's somewhat by design, somewhat just because I'm lazy and whatever. But the thing is, I'm trying to actively trying to be more positive towards myself and at least take stock of what could be considered the good parts of my life. I hate myself and I think I'm a pile of shit. But I'm aware that maybe, to some degree, to some people, I'm not that. And maybe I've got a lot going for me. So this episode is just going to be about how fucking wonderful and amazing I am, to try and talk myself up a bit, sort of be a bit positive towards myself. Imagine that. Imagine being positive towards yourself about anything ever. What an obscene idea. What nonsense. What nonsense. Have some sense, you nonce. That's me. I have sex with children. I don't really. Well, there you go. That's one we can do. Is, one thing I've got going for me is zero. Still to this day, if you can believe it, zero allegations against me for anything really, including but not limited to sexual assault or abuse of any kind. The R word starts with an R, ends with an ape, a chimpanzee, an orangutan, a gibbon. None of that. None of them. No molestation accusations. I'm not saying I don't do them. Mind. I'm just saying I've not been accused of doing them. I'm also saying I don't do them. That anyone knows of. I've got a few messages, somewhat recently, about, saying things like, I reckon you actually are a serial killer, Ewan. Which I don't hate those kinds of messages. I think it's quite nice that people sort of think I could be capable of something like that. But I also think, come on, I consider myself somewhat intelligent. No, I consider myself incredibly fucking smart, smarter than most people. Which is a point, I'm at odds with that point within myself. I think I'm the smartest person in the world, and I also believe myself to be a dumb piece of shit that doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. If I go to a place to eat that I've not been to before, I lose my mind and not know where I am or what I'm doing or how to behave. Just because I feel stupid because I don't know the system. Anyway, so I feel I'm incredibly intelligent, and I feel like if I was going to be a serial killer, I maybe wouldn't draw pictures of me murdering people and put them on Instagram. A lot of serial killers sort of, some of them even almost want to be caught because they see themselves as these brilliant, troubled geniuses, and they sort of, it's almost like they want credit for that. So they want to be caught so they can explain their plans to everyone and have everyone go, ooh, what a crazy, troubled individual that person was. Oh my God. And so maybe if I am serial killer, it might be that sort of situation where in some kind of roundabout way, I'm kind of trying to tell people that I'm a serial killer by drawing pictures of my killering exploits and posting them on social media. But that would be fucking stupid. I mean, come on. But I'd be a good serial killer. I got some sense. Of course I got some sense. I'm a fucking smart fuck. One smart fuck. That'll be the name of my comedy album. One smart fuck. One tough cookie. One bottle of jizz in your mother's mouth. Hey, welcome to the Ewan's Brilliant podcast. How are you today? Well, feeling like shit, but I know I'm not, because I'm amazing and you're all lucky to be on the planet at the same time as me. It's difficult, yeah. I'm just, because it's you straddle your father while he blows you. No. You straddle a fine line between sort of thinking or knowing that you're good at something, and then seeming like an absolute dickbag when you talk about it. Which, I don't really want to do. I don't want to come across as a turd. No one likes those people anyway. I don't like them. If I see someone talking about how fucking brilliant they are, I will shut off the fucking whatever it is they're doing, because I don't care. I've already lost interest in what I'm talking about. That's cool. Let's do a whole episode about something I have no interest in talking about, which is myself. I know I talk about myself a lot, but that's mainly because it's like out of lack of other shit to talk about, what do I know the most about? Me. So I guess I'll talk about me. But no, what I the point is, my point is, I'm trying to make myself aware that life's not that bad, man. You know, hey, come on now. Things aren't that bad. It could be worse. You know, man. Hey, man. Shit could be a lot worse, bro. Hey, bro, man, bro. You know what, bro? Things could be a lot worse, you know. You could have AIDS. That's always funny, you know. You know, people have actually died from it. Yeah, but not me, so it's funny. I don't know what I'm doing or saying. I think I took too much caffeine too soon. I just think I want to take stock of positives and try to keep them in mind, yeah. Because I don't see a lot to live for, but I'm trying to keep in mind the fact that there are things to live for, yeah. For instance, so when I was at college, and so a lot of this may be stuff I've already said and talked about, and if it is, fuck you! Go listen to something else. Go listen to fucking Joe Rogan or some popular fucking podcastian who talks about what's the fuck his name? Jordan Peterson. Oh, go listen to some Jordan Peterson talk about problems the world has and offer no solutions, but just, you know, get loads of engagement just because he comments on something bad going on that he sees as being bad going on that actually isn't a problem from the point of view he's looking at it from, but is actually a problem from the complete opposite direction to which he's looking at it. What a fucking buffoon. Anyway, it's not about him, it's about me, bloody me. When I was in college, I kind of sort of vaguely realised that maybe what I want to do with my life, yeah, is to make books. And that's about it. I sort of decided that's pretty much all I really want. Like, that's what I want to do in life, which was mostly inspired by Ashleen Woodington, whose work I'm sure you're very familiar with, especially if you're familiar with myself and my cast of pod. Because it seems to be the case that he makes a bunch of shit, puts it in a book, and then the publishers publish it because they know it's Ashley Wood and it will sell however many copies it needs to sell. And then he does that, but he publishes other people's work. He makes books of other people's work. There's the Sparrow. I've got some somewheres. Where are they? Phil Hale. See, because oh no, everything's collapsing around me. He puts out books of his own work, and, you know, Sparrow, Ashley Wood, cool. But then he also makes books of other people's work. These ones, you know, they're his, Ashley Wood's Sparrow series, headed by Ashley Wood, published by IDW Publishing, about artists like Phil Hale. He does a bunch of other artists. I did see one that was Jim Marfood, which is, you know... and the fact that he can do that, as well as all the other stuff he does, you know, paint, draw, make toys, and all the rest of it, it's just so good. But it's, for me personally, one of my favourite way to consume art. Like, going to galleries is all right. I don't mind doing it now and again, especially if it's like a friend's exhibition or whatever. More on that later. But my favourite way to consume art is through books, is having books full of artwork that I can flip through whenever I want, and I have ready access to, and I can look at them close, like too close. And I love. I talk again and again and again about how I love books as objects. I just love things, and that's when I talk about certain books that I like. A lot of the time, one of the aspects of that book that I like is the feel of the book, maybe the dimensions or just how solid it feels, or the quality of the paper or whatever. Because books are one of the few things I care about. They're one of the few possessions I have. I don't have much stuff in my life, but one of the few things I do have and care about are my books. That's not at all what I was sort of hoping it would be. And so I sort of didn't really decide or thought, contemplated, and came to the conclusion that books is what I want to do. I just want to make books. I want to draw shit until I have enough shit to put in a book, and then I want to put it in a book and put it out in the world. And you know what? That's what I do. I'm very fortunate to be in the position I'm in, because I'm able to more or less make a bunch of art, put it in a book, make the book happen, and then sell it, and carry on and do another one. Sometimes it's beneficial, like monetarily. Sometimes I make enough money doing it, to live off of for at least a little while. Sometimes I don't, but either way, I'm doing the thing. I'm making shit. I'm putting shit out there. I'm making books almost for a living, and that's amazing. I've got to be sort of so proud of myself for that, to have somehow been able to get myself into that position. So, Ewan, what do you do for a living? I make books. What kinds of books? Art books, comic books, fucking books with drawings, with nothing but drawings of butts in them. And people go, drawings of butts? That's so strange. Is that what you do? You just draw butts all day? And I said, yeah, it is what I do all fucking day. And you know what? It's fucking great. And shit off anyone who doesn't like it. Although I can't imagine there's anyone who really specifically doesn't like it. I mean, it sort of is what it is, isn't it? There's nothing really to not like about it. How does it feel? Still just in my head, man. This red is running. Oh yeah, it's really, really running out. Shitums! It's a crab with guns! I saw a few posts recently from several artists. Lobster Robin did a crab with like a harpoon. Asram did a crab with something, a knife maybe, some sort of fighty crab. Levitso, is that his Instagram name? Levitso. He did a crab, a stabby crabby. So there's these artists in a relatively short space of time have each on their own done a crab with a weapon. And I wanted to do one too, so I'm doing a crab, a gat crab, a crab with fucking guns, gun crab. Ugh. So that's what this is. It's relatively rushed. It's not a. It's whatever. That's the good shit, isn't it? The quick. There's something to be said for artwork you spend hours and days doing, but. Fucking who needs it, man? Just throw some shit out there, innit? So yeah, I am happy and even proud of myself. Because I feel like I don't know what this is. That's and then that. What the fuck is this? I've no idea. Because in essence, I'm still I'm young Ewan. I'm 7-year-old Ewan trapped in a 30-something-year-old body, and I have no fucking clue what I'm doing, and I'm scared of everything all of the time. The fact that I have my own place that I live and I do what I do for a living is outstanding to me. But I do try to sort of think of it kind of in those terms of like, you know, if I talk to my younger self, if I look at young 7-year-old Ewan and say, look where you're at, you know, making books and shit for a living, yeah. Then little Ewan's gonna go, oh shit, you fucking taking a bit. And I like to think that young Ewan would look at the work I produce and go, I like that. I'd sit for hours copying some of that shit. And I mean, really, that's sort of what it's all about. You know, gun Viking and stuff. Like, I want to make shit that a younger Ewan would sit and obsess over and try to imitate and draw his own versions of. And if anyone else likes it on top of that, then even better, you know. But ultimately, it's about me! I'm the important one. Well, shit in my hands and call me a pig. It's only Pig Boy. It's Tom Blackford's comic that he spent fucking decades making. Not really, a couple of years. So he... I don't know. He was making it for a long time. He's wanted to do a comic for a long time. He had the idea for us. This is all of this information is based on, I think this is the case from talking to him a little bit here and there. And then he finally, you know, COVID happened. He might have had difficulty getting work here and there, but you know, he's doing all right. He's not struggling. Maybe he is. It's not my place to say. But he did have time to sort of sit down and work on a comic. In between, you know, actual like doing paid work for his day job and stuff. But he did it, and I'm really happy for him and proud of him. You know, me and Tom, we've been friends for a good few years now, I guess, and you know, it's cool to see that, you know, any of your friends, they have an idea of something they want to do and they stick to it, even if it takes them a couple of years. And now it's a thing, and it's a physical comic books, and I'm really cool. I'm really cool. I'm really happy with it. It's really cool. I like it. Story-wise, it's about spoilers from here to wherever. I mean, get hold of a copy and read it if you want. Hey Tom, I'm not doing this for Tom. I'm not helping promote his comic for him. I'm showing it off just because it's a cool thing I want to show off. But like, hey Tom, yeah, I'll promote your comic, and then I get on here and tell everyone, go buy it if you want. I don't give a fuck, whatever. It's about a boy who talks to a pig who, you know, talks back, but he mentions it's because of the kid's trauma and whatever. Burns his house down and runs away and has some sort of trip, some mind-opening, drug-induced hallucination, and then whatever. And it's also a superhero origin story, which I don't know if I knew before getting my hands on the comic. Maybe I did, or maybe I forgot. Really like the cover. The cover's really nice, especially in contrast to the interior artwork, because the interior artwork's really nice, but obviously all black and white and grayscale. So to have this really nicely coloured, nicely painted cover is really, really cool. I like it. It's very, very eye-catching as well. It's a really solid image. The kid Noah with his cleft lip thing going on, a match in his mouth, which relates to the story, and his hair. I love the text, and the text all the way through, you know, especially like the sound effects and stuff, is very much like, oh, a graffiti writer made this comic, which is cool. I like to see that. That skull is really well drawn. There's quite a lot of that in here where, like, I assume this is heavily referenced, if not just copied from a photo. The grass is really well sort of drawn and or rendered. The perspective on the bridge is cool. This tyre, I mean, I assume that is also referenced from something. And so there's a few points where you can see he's used reference full stuff, which is, I'm not saying is a bad thing. It's a good thing. But it's cool that he's like found these things to like pay attention to, because it really does sort of enhance the world of the comic, because it would be so easy to just like fuck this up and make it look shit. But the fact that he's obviously referenced something makes it feel a lot more real and grounded, which makes it work for the comic, which is set in Iowa in 1979. That's cool. That's cool. I like it. Yeah. I like it. That is a really nice like opening shot. And Tom is a fan of film, and I believe wants to make films eventually someday. So shots like this feels like the opening of a film. That, you know, it would be you could hear the wind and like there'd be dust and stuff, and then the text would come up on the screen like "Dum, Iowa, 1979," and then you'd hear this creaking and the birds crowing, and then it would like focus on the house, and then there'd be a the match striking sound effect. It's very filmic in sort of how he's putting this comic together. The close up on the eye, the fire in the eye and stuff, as he drops a match into the basement and burns down his house, which is something we've all wanted to do at some point, isn't it? There's really cool. Here you go, graffiti. Fuck you. That's funny. Yeah, really. You can see he's a graffiti writer. He knows what he's doing. I like the artwork in here because I like the sort of texture and feel of it. Because a lot of comics, especially a lot of black comics, look like black and white comic art. Very often, you know, just black ink on white paper, cool. But Tom's put a lot of effort into this in terms of texture. He's using pen and ink. I don't know, fucking drawing pens, pencil he uses here and there, ink washes, splats and spray paints, and, you know, white media, all kinds of shit to give all these different like effects here and there, and his different graffiti fonts and things. It really does add something to the artwork and makes it feel a lot more sort of substantial, which gives an overall sort of more finished feel to the thing as a whole. And that's cool. He's done what I like to do, which is to put, like, you know, I'd have like a gun Viking poster or something, and he's got his 31 days thing, which I believe I have a copy of somewhere. Yeah. This is Tom's. It was an Inktober. I think it's all dusty because everything in my room is covered in dust and filth. Oh, and he's drawn a little picture of my guy in it. Oh yeah, because we collaborated on a piece at the back. He drew this basketball guy, and then I drew this guy. That's quite cool. Yeah, it was an Inktober thing. 31 days, Tom Blackford, and look, he's got a poster of it. 31 days of the. So I just thought that was cool. That's a neat detail, just to throw in a little thing. And then if you're a fan of Tom's work and you know his work, you see that and you go, "Oh, I get what you do. Yeah, it's cool." These pages are really cool. I meant to ask Tom, because I went to the exhibition. He had an exhibition releasing this, and I believe this comic was delivered from the printers on the morning of that exhibition, which is very, very close. And I know Tom was very stressed about it, but it came together, and it was really cool because he had all the original artwork, which was A3 size, in this exhibition space. The comic was on sale. He had a painting on the wall and some deleted scenes from the comic, which again, Tom's interest in film coming through. Yeah, it was a really cool exhibition. It was really good to see the artwork on the walls. and get a better look at, you know, all the texture and stuff he put into it. And you can see where he's used, you know, this text is digital and stuff, and he's done digital bits here and there. So it's cool to see the artwork, the raw artwork without all the text and stuff, as well as, you know, a couple of other bits and pieces, and to get your hands on the book as well. But I meant to ask him at the exhibition, but I didn't really get a chance to talk to him too much because he's busy rushing around talking to people. I want to ask if he's... I know I'm sure he has seen it, but this reminds me of a scene in the... I think it's the original or old Vampire Hunter D anime film, where he walks into this dark castle and it's like pitch black, and there's all these weird monsters and demons that are just almost like random drawings that someone's done. And it feels very much like this, where, you know, the kids talking about how, yeah, when I was little I used to think that door was a portal to hell itself, and then that's sort of how he envisioned it. It was just these weird monsters and skeletons and satanic dog things and babies with machetes, demon Mickey Mouse, which, you know, Tom is a thing he draws, alligators and weird spiders and shit, just horrible, awful, scary shit, and more of them here. Really, really cool couple of pages. And then he comes down the stairs to see, oh, there aren't any monsters, it's just a thing. But yeah, I feel that reminds me of Vampire Hunter D. If it's not inspired by that, it at least has tones of that, and I can appreciate that. I won't talk about the story too much because, yeah, you know, it is worth getting a copy for yourself. I have 2 copies just to show that I'm better than everyone else. Yeah, and read it because it's cool. I am intrigued. I'm intrigued by the story to see where it goes, because I think I knew a bit about the story before, but as I say, I'm not sure I knew it was a superhero origin story. So now I'm intrigued to see where that goes, because it's pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting idea. This is one of my favourite bits, actually. It's just the texture he's got in here. I think he's used acrylic paint, I think, and like fairly watery, but the smoke is really good texture. Fire is really good contrast in light and dark, and it feels hot and burny. The text is really nicely done. That's really good shit, man. I love the black outlines and stuff on the pages as well. I don't know, is that all the way through? Oh yeah, no, because this is like fairly classic comic book with the white gutters and stuff, and then to go into the black when it's a bit darker and meaner. That's cool. And yeah, I will say, I was genuinely impressed with the artwork. I saw bits and pieces of it here and there through talking to Tom, you know, over the last couple of years while he's been making it. But to see it all come together, it's impressive when one of your friends does that, when you see them working on a thing here and there, and it's like, okay, cool. But then when you see it all as a whole, you can really sort of take it in and appreciate the work that's gone into it. And knowing firsthand how hard it can be to make an entire comic book yourself. Yeah, I was really impressed with it. And this is cool. This is one of my favourite pages, partly because it's drawings of drawings. You know, it's a comic book within a comic book. I love that shit. Where he's, you know, eating mushrooms. He's got this fantasy about this Dragon Slayer character. Really love this. This is a really nice illustration. The dragon's quite cool, and the flames and everything. The Dragon Slayer in the front with its shield. That's really, really cool. He probably copied it from somewhere else, of course. I love that little nom nom. And I also like the little pig there. That's really cool. That looks like something I'd draw, where you just go, it's just pig, it's fine. And that's why I like it. I like everything that looks like something I'd do. His stupid dead mum. Good night, mum. Of course, mom, because he's in America. And then he goes to sleep, and he wakes up in a dark space. And oh my god, what's happening? He's being birthed out of a pig vagina. What the hell? WTF. He's got to bite his umbilical cord. Smiling pig. And then it chases him. Oh my god. There's a bit of an odd scene. And look, it says Ewan. He put a little me in there. A little EWAN. That's my name right there. That's nice of him. And then he's got like his tags and his girl's name, his crew's name. And yeah, because I did that in... I Of course, if I'm showing someone else's comic, I've got to show mine as well. You know, I've put like his tags and stuff in here. Because that's, yeah, so it's only right that he pays respect by putting my name in his. He didn't have to do that. I wasn't expecting him to, and I didn't even realise he had until he showed me. He was like, "Did you see your name?" And I was like, "What?" And then he showed me this is really cool. The Dragon Slayer shows up. Dragon Slayer slices the pig's stomach. I have some background knowledge on this panel as well. And it's his mom! Oh my god! Again, spoilers, but fucking whatever. Buy the comic, it's good. And then there's a whole thing, and then God calls him up and lifts him up to heaven or wherever. And they got on a train, and they show up here. Oh my god. This looks like he's put that's a photo and not a drawing. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is a photo and not a drawing. It might be a drawing, but to me it looks like a photo that he's sort of superimposed on there digitally or otherwise. Maybe a photocopy, I don't know. But the fence is a drawing, but this is not a drawing. Doesn't matter. It's not a good or a bad thing. It is what it is, and that's perfectly. I sometimes want to do that. I want to make my comics more collagey and use photos and stick shit down and tape and all kinds of shit. So it's really cool to use a photo of, you know, a certain couple of towers. Yeah, man, really, really impressed with it overall. It's a really cool looking comic. Some really good artwork in it. Some. Not all of it's really good, but some of it's all right, I suppose. And it's cool to have a little bit of background knowledge where I've been talking to him, so I know some inspirations and sort of reference points he's used here and there. But even so, even outside of that, it's a really cool looking comic, and for, you know, like I say, for anyone to make their own comic is a lot of work. So him having done that is impressive. It's a good thing to have been done. It's got pig vagina in it, and, you know, it's all right. I think I'm going to do the guns in blue, but I don't know if that might look shit. It might work. It's got to be worth trying at least, isn't it? And it was certainly a lot easier to think this when, you know, I sort of just started living and working as an artist at the start of 2020. That the fact that I can live off of my art is outstanding, and especially at certain points, is something I didn't think was going to be a possibility. I had gotten to various points where I, you know, all but given up and figured, well, it's never going to happen, so what's the fucking point? And now here I am bloody doing it like an arsehole. Like a very talented, very smart, sexy arsehole. But an arsehole nonetheless. And it's, you know, that's why if I put the title as My Amazing Life or whatever I was going to, it's because I have almost a perfect life, and this is sort of something I brought up when I was staying in that place and talking to people. Is I get annoyed at myself for getting down because, you know, sometimes I think, well, obviously depression is what it is, but sometimes it's like, well, what are you complaining about? I have a near perfect life. You know, luckily I don't require much, and as such, I'm able to live and do what I want. You know, I don't want much, so I'm able to have almost everything I want. Like on a day-to-day basis, I can get up in the morning whenever I like, get some work done here and there whenever I like. Like I guess I can go through a sort of average day. You know, I wake up whenever, sometimes earlier, sometimes later, depends, you know, how I've been sleeping, if I've been sleeping, whatever. Get up whenever I want, just sort of bum about for the morning, get hot chocolate, watch something, jerk off, play some video games. And that's sort of ideal, you know, just for the start of the day, morning, noon, early afternoon, just fucking bum about and do whatever. Doesn't really matter. Get some lunch. I can go out for lunch. I'm in a position where, you know, I'm not always doing amazingly financially, but for the most part, if I want to go out and get something to eat, go to a place to eat, you know, nowhere crazy, because I don't like crazy expensive places. I don't like fancy things, you know, anti-fashion and all of that. So I can afford to go somewhere I want to go, you know, just hang out, get some lunch, whatever. Go. I might do that after I finish this podcast. I might pop out, get a fucking like giant hot dog and a milkshake and just sit and eat and go like, hey, this is cool. I can do this. I can treat myself. I don't feel deserving of it always, but I can do it. And, you know, maybe I should more. And then sort of I can watch some shit, play more video games, jerk off again, whatever. And then sort of late afternoon, evening, I can start drawing, do a couple of bits. And sometimes there are entire days when I don't have to draw. If I've gotten all my work done already, sent shit out, and it's all good, I can just chill for, you know, multiple days sometimes, and it's cool. I can work on books, work on drawings, on comics, on commissions, whatever it is. And even the commissions, like, sometimes it feels like work where I'm like, ugh, fucking, I've got to do this commission, I've got to do that commission. But ultimately, I am, you know, getting paid for drawing pictures. And I try to keep that in mind and know that there are people out there, like, I have an audience, you know, I've got like I don't want to call it a fan base, but I've almost, you know, I've got a fan base. There are people who are excited when I release certain things. They're happy to see new artwork from me. They're happy to see new books from me. And that means a lot. Like mucho in Spanish, it means a lot. Because it's easy to forget sometimes, you know, it's easy to get in your own head about things and go, oh, you know, I'm shit and why bother, no one cares and this and that. But every now and again I'm reminded that, you know, somewhere out there people care. You know, not everyone cares. But some people somewhere, they care, and that's meaningful. You know, it's easy to sort of over or understate it or whatever, or to gloss over it. But yeah, the fact that there are people out there like looking forward to your next release, it means a lot, and I've got to be happy about that. And that's like, you know, they pay my bills essentially. So for instance, I can get a phone call from a certain member of my family who might say, oh, have you got a proper job yet? And I'm sure they're saying it like, you know, somewhat jokingly, just being a bit fun. Oh, you got a proper job yet? And I can say, well, fuck you, you know. For one thing, I never wanted a proper job. The idea of a job is fucking lunacy in itself. And also, that person who would say a thing like that has a proper job, and they have to get up at a certain time every day, and they have a boss to answer to. And if they don't feel well, they can't just go, I'll do it tomorrow. They have to call in sick, and it has to be a thing, and it's a process. Whereas I'm incredibly lucky to not have to deal with any of that. I can work more or less when I want on what I want. and put it out, and everyone loves it because I'm so fucking amazing all of the bloody time. Can you bloody believe it? You don't want to use the word privilege, but I do feel pretty privileged sometimes. Again, it's hard to see it always. It's hard to feel it always, but... And it's through various things, it's sort of luck, it's, people sharing my work and enjoying my work, but ultimately the work's only there because of me. I put in the work. I make shit and I put shit out into the world and try to make it good, try to make it funny and interesting. And that's me. I did that, and I'm so good. I'm so fucking amazing. One thing I've sort of learned is, artists are an odd bunch, which, that's not what I've learned. That's something I know already. But you learn, like, sort of how odd and out there artists are when you go to get a vasectomy and the nurses are making conversation, to be polite and make you comfortable and just talk to you while you're having your procedure done. And they say, oh, so what do you do? Did you call off work today for this? And blah, blah, blah. And I get to say, oh, well, I'm like an artist, illustrator. So I work for myself, so I don't really have to worry about that. And they're like, oh, that's interesting. What sort of things do you do? And I say, oh, well, I do this and that. I do comics and I draw this. I draw boobs and butts and things. And I get to talk about things like that and have the people I'm talking to seem genuinely interested by it. Be like, oh, that's really odd. That's really cool that you get to do that. It sounds really interesting. And to then one of those nurses even say, we don't meet people like you very often. That's really, really cool. And that's, that's true. People don't meet like artists very often. We're an odd bunch. And I felt that as well in the mental health care place I stayed in. Where I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't, but maybe they don't meet people like me very often. Because that came up in conversation a lot when it's just, the guests and the people that work there having lunch or dinner or whatever, just talking, saying, oh, Ewan, what do you do? And what do you enjoy doing with your time? And I say, oh, I draw tits and asses and I draw murder and I talk about fucking babies. And they say, oh, wow, that's really interesting. We don't meet people like you very often. And it's, it sort of gives you that feeling of, like, I am somebody, and I made and still making something of myself, and that's why I don't want a job. I don't care about work or generally, like having status or whatever, but like to be able to feel like I'm doing something that, little Ewan is happy with. And by extension, hopefully, regular smelly old Ewan can be happy with. And knowing that I get to do that is something. And the other artists I get to know and talk to. I know I've spoken about this a bunch of times, but the fact that there are a good handful of artists that I've admired for so long, that every now and again they'll like my work, they'll message me telling me they like my work. I feel like I could talk to them, I could send them a message and have it not be some weird thing where I'm messaging some, stranger. There's artists that I've liked since I was in college when I decided I want to make books. And now I have a line of contact with some of those artists. And it's so bizarre to think that would ever be a thing. but it is, and I've got to sort of try to stay aware of that. And so that's, when I say this episode's going to be a bit wanky, a little bit self-congratulatory, sure, but with good reason. It's easy for anyone to feel insubstantial, and you talk to people about doing art and whatever, they'll often say something along the lines of, oh, I wish I was good at something, or I wish I had, a hobby like that. And a lot of people don't. They're just, they just do whatever they do, and it's got to be really difficult to sort of feel like you are somebody when there's nothing like that. And, luckily for me, I wasn't popular enough to get invited to parties, so I stayed in drawing all the time. And look where it's got me. I get to stay in drawing all the time for a job. So that's cool. I'm just, I'm in a very sort of self-reflective kind of place. I'm in a mirror store and I just see me everywhere I look. I can't get away from the fucker. A mirror store. The mirror stores that sell nothing but mirrors. That are just walls and walls. I could have said a hall of mirrors, because that's an actual thing. Not a mirror store that sells nothing but mirrors. Fucking dunce. I'm really intelligent. Oh, a mirror store. I go into the mirror store to buy my mirror. Fucking idiot. You can't escape the self-deprecation. It's always there. It's always there. So I hope this doesn't come across as me, I have nothing to flex, so I'm not flexing on anyone that, I get to live this life and you don't. Which admittedly, I will think that sometimes, again, earlier on in like 2020 when I started this full time, have my little hot chocolate in the morning, look out the window, see everyone going to work and just think, you sorry sons of bitches. You poor fuckers and your jobs. Ugh. Fuck the lot of you. Yeah, I try not to be like that, but it's like I say, it's trying to reflect and make myself aware that I'm doing something. I am building something, because it's very easy to forget that, and it's all for something. Maybe I don't even know what that something is yet necessarily, but it's fucking something. Oh shit! Do you know what we haven't done? We haven't done the beverage of the week. It's just a Dr. Pepper. I'm recording this a bit earlier than I normally do. Oh, listen to that. And the American store that sells all the fancy shit is closed until they open up like late afternoon, and they stay open till like 3 a.m. or some shit for the students. For the students. And I've been staying away from Dr. Pepper for a while because I was drinking it too much. And I've been having like sugar-free drinks, sort of a few times a week. But as a gonna treat myself, I have a Dr. Pepper. So, and I do love me some Dr. Pepper. Oh, that's good. Oh. That's extra good because it's been a while since I last had a Dr. Pepper. So that Dr. Pepper tastes really, really good. Because I was having Dr. Pepper so often that it almost lost its taste completely. It was just like drinking whatever. And I'd try to enjoy it. I'd get a Dr. Pepper. I'd sit and have some and be like, Dr. Pepper. And then take a sip and be like, I mean, it's whatever, I guess. Which, for something you're supposed to like, it's sad to have that reaction. So, having not had it for quite some time, apparently I'm now able to have it again and be like, oh, yeah, that's the good shit. We like that. And that's a luxury I'm fortunate to have. I can treat myself to a Dr. Pepper. What else? What else makes me amazing? Well, no, that's about it, really. It's mostly art. I'm able to do more or less what I want. I think if I'm building toward anything, it's probably that. It's probably building towards really doing what I want to do, because at the moment I get to do some stuff I want to do, but I'm still, I do have to do commissions and things to pay the bills. Of course, everyone has to do things they don't necessarily want to do. And it's not that I don't want to do commissions, but it's like anything is, as soon as you have to do it, it's the last thing you want to do. Which if I ever do like you and merch, which I've already spoken about, it's not going to happen. I'll never say never. That would be one of those things that go on a shirt. It will be whatever I just said, because I forgot what I just said. Oh, that's it. As soon as you have to do something, it's the last thing you want to do. Like, I don't mind doing dishes and laundry and shit now and again. It's whatever. I stick some music on and it's all good. But when it's piled up and it's like you have to do it now, then it's just the last fucking thing I want to do. In school, I would draw, and this is a true story from my school days. I'd draw in every single class. That's all I did. In all my books, they were all full of drawings. All my folders were covered in drawings. My teachers would constantly tell me, Ewan, stop drawing on all your shit. And I'd say, oh, okay. And then I'd just draw all my shit anyway, because what the fuck are they going to do? And then get to art class, and I don't do anything. Art class was the one class I didn't draw in, because now I'm supposed to be drawing. I don't want to fucking draw. Of course, I did in earlier on in school when I had the good teacher, Mr. Brown, who was the good teacher, who actually noticed that I had it. I was on it for art. That's what I was doing. He saw straight away, Ewan knows what he's doing. He's got the art thing down, and he left me to it. And he'd give me money to go to the drinks machines. He'd say, Ewan, do you know where the drinks machines are? And I'd say, yes, lying, because I didn't. And he'd say, cool, here's a couple of quid, get me a tango or whatever, and get yourself something too. And I'd be like, oh, sick, yeah, all right. And then I'd eventually find the drinks machine and do that. And then he'd say, okay, class, today we're doing this and this and this, so do this, this and this. And then he'd quietly say to me, Ewan, just do whatever you want. I know you're fine. Don't worry about it. Because he knew art was fine. I was cool with art. I didn't need direction. I just needed sort of space and time to fucking do it. And then he left, and this is all alleged, very much alleged, from what I understand, from what I've told, and I can kind of see it being the case. He left very, very suddenly, apparently, allegedly, for fooling around with some students, which, of course it's the one fucking teacher that's nice to me, the one fucking teacher I like. And it was like, I remember seeing him in between classes and maybe at the end of school or on lunch breaks and stuff. He'd be sat on the this like little field bit next to the art block, maybe having a cigarette, a sneaky little cigarette, and he'd be almost surrounded by like older girls, in like year 11 girls in the school. And this is when I was like year 7, year 8, so very young. So he'd be surrounded by like, teenage girls, like 15, 16-year-old girls. And And they'd love him because he's a fairly handsome chap, an artist. He wore big, colourful woolen sweaters and had like dirty hands and stuff. And he's a cool, fairly handsome guy. So I can absolutely see, sort of the older teenage girls would be into him, and I guess I can see how that would be a temptation that he might, fall into, which is a thing. But again, of course, the one good teacher I have is that teacher, of course. And then all the other art teachers I had were just pieces of shit, constantly telling me to like pay attention and you need to do it this way and you need to do it that way. Just fuck you. Don't tell me what I need to do with art. I know more than you. I maybe I didn't, but fuck you. Art teachers, piles of shit, a lot of them. I'd quite like to be an art teacher. I figure I could be like the cool I could be the cool art teacher wearing like colourful woolen sweaters and have dirty hands and trousers and mess around with a couple of students. Oh no, I didn't mean that. That was a joke. Oh. But I'd quite like to teach art, it'd be quite cool. Because I could be like, hey, this is some stuff you can do with art. And if you're into it, cool, let's go. I'll show you some more stuff. And if you're not into it, cool, just fucking sit and draw for an hour. I don't care. Of course, I know teachers are supposed to, get grades and stuff, but fucking well. I'll be a good art teacher. I'll be the fucking best art teacher in the world. But of course, that would mean having a job and a boss and having to get up at a certain time and probably masturbate a lot less. Which is, who wants that? Who wants to be told, Ewan, you've got to masturbate less, especially when you're in class with kids. You can't be doing that so often. Now and again, sure, but not as often as you are currently, Ewan. Be like one of those old fucking like 60s, 70s comedy shows. Ewan! Like the angry headmaster. He caught me masturbating again. Oh, Ewan! And then I look at the camera like, was that me? Oh, I'm in trouble again. And then they couldn't really do anything to me because I'm just so lovable. And, great at art. You're so good at art. These kids are learning so much from you. So they'd keep me around because, I'm an asset to the team. Yeah. Yeah. I fucking know what I'm doing, what I'm talking about. How does it feel? I thought singing that song would like exercise it from my mind, but it seems to not be the case. I think that one's gonna stick around for quite a while, I reckon. Which is fun. That's good to know. I hope you can all take a moment to do what I'm doing and talk about how great I am specifically. No, like if you get down and you feel like life's not worth living, or maybe you want to give up. And believe me, I want to give up. I want to give up. I want to quit. But sort of speak to your younger you, yeah? Access your inner child. And just sort of let them know, shit's all right. Shit's going pretty good. And you're in a good spot. Like, take stock of the good shit in your life. That the stuff you get to do. Try not to focus on the stuff you have to do, and try to focus on the stuff you get to do. Which I think is one of those like hacky cliche things where they say, instead of saying I have to do this, try saying I get to do this. Which is like, sure, cool, yeah, fuck off, whatever. But don't try to replace saying this with this, but just try to at least think about the things that you do get to do because of the position you're in. And I understand not everyone is in a position where they get to do a lot of things. am only recently out of a position like that. But even so, even when I had a day job, I could show off my Instagram at my day job and be, look, I'm somebody, yeah, I'm fucking you, I'm Uncle Ewan. People fucking show me their tits a lot. And because of that, I'm fucking famous. So even then, even in a shitty day job that I hated, where I was clearly depressed and everyone complained that I was moping around or whatever, and not one person actually asked if I was okay. Even in a pooey poo job like that, I still was able to every now and again sort of focus on, where what I do have, what I can do, which is for me was always art, because well, clearly, fucking, I was going to say the vaccine, the caffeine is wearing off. I think it's been and gone, hasn't it? And it's been long enough. I've been fucking babbling about myself. But that's my that in a nutshell. Wow. That's my amazing life. I'm a G. I'm a rap god. Art, books and comics and shit. Massive. Impossibly, indescribably, incredulously big dick that I have, not that I am. Obviously, I've got a massive penis. So I live a perfect, amazing life. I do what I want. Yeah. And I draw crabs with guns just because I feel like it. And I screwed up the ending because I told myself I'll do a whole speech towards the end, and then right at the very end I'll go, and I've got a massive dick, and then I'll cut it off as I say dick, and you'll be like, haha, but I screwed that up. So now I'm floundering is what I'm doing now, taking you behind the curtain, yeah, breaking that fourth wall down and letting you know that I fucked up my outro and intros. I meant to talk about that as well. Let's carry on for another 20 minutes. I think I'm going to do a whole episode about intros and how much I fucking hate them. I talk about them, how much I hate. It's every video. I will skip ahead at least 1.5 to 2 minutes, sometimes more, on any YouTube video I watch, and I won't miss anything because it's all fucking intro. Even if it's intro to the video I'm about to watch, it's, hey, check out the thing. Today we're here and we're going to do this and this. And I've got this person with me and they do this. So we're going to do this while we do this and this and this for minutes. And then they get into the video where they start doing the thing that they've just said they're going to be doing. And it frustrates me so much because, just do the thing. Start the video with you doing the thing. During the thing, if you feel it needs some explanation, explain what it is you're doing and who you're here with. But just fucking do the thing. I say that, and then I start this episode with a full fucking 2-minute introduction of a musical interlude or whatever. But hey, at least I was drawing a tit. I was doing something while... And that was, I do that from time to time. The musical intro thing, that's going to get, luckily I don't make money off of this, so I'm not going to lose any for having a fucking copyrighted song, because that's going to get flagged when I upload the fucking thing. And then the outros, and it's the same with songs as well. Like if I was listening to that song that I played, Blue Monday, just casually as a song, I'd listen to it once and go, oh, hey, that's quite a cool song. But I'm never going to listen to it again because I can't be fucked to sit through 2 entire minutes of song before I get to the actual fucking song. I can't fucking stand it. There are many, many songs that I really like that I just don't listen to because of that exact reason. Because it just takes so long to get into the actual song. I like the song, but the fucking intro. And outros are the same. At least with outros, you've listened to the whole song and it's been good or whatever, and then they get to the outro and you're like, okay, this is another fucking 45 seconds of music. Skip onto the next song. Cool. That's why the Danger Doom album is really sort of like for me, because I love loads and loads of the songs on that, almost all of them. But then there's the skits that are on either end of the song. They're like, some of them start with a bit of a skit and you're like, okay, it's not too much, I get into it. And then some of them end with this long skit and it's just like, oh, shut up. And here and there you can find edits of those songs that don't have the skits. I've got a few of those, and I'm glad for them. Because I prefer to just put a playlist on and listen to it. I don't like having to skip all the time. But when there's fucking intros and outros, it's just so fucking annoying. And videos especially, you know, I just... So I say I could do a whole video about intros in videos. And then I've just done what I would have done right just then. So I guess I don't need to do the video now. I'm still... what I'm doing right now is... well, I'm looking for my white pen so I can add a little bit of sort of highlights and stuff. Don't know where the fuck it's gone. Maybe if I tidied up once in a while. Maybe if I had a system to all of my fucking garbage instead of just having the garbage. But I found what I need, so it's all good. I'm still stalling because I don't know how to end the video. There doesn't need to be a particular end to the video. I can just say this is the end of the video. Do you know what? This is the end of the video.